Marketing Edge on TV is Nigeria's leading initiative in the business of brand management and in the management of brand business. It is a 30-minute awesome package that comprises brand news, branding focus, and industry conversation, all in a mix, encompassing thorough and in-depth analysis aimed at promoting the brand idea. My name is Babumi Agbibi. Welcome to the program.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand idea.
We begin with brand news, where we bring you the latest developments around brands and in the field of marketing and advertising in Nigeria and around the world. Globacom has unveiled its new campaign line, Never Settle for Less, as the telecommunications company marked its 23rd anniversary. At an event in Lagos, Glo also introduced new products and services designed to deliver greater value to customers. Furthermore, the upgraded Talkmaster now offers free 6 minutes of calls and 100 megabytes of data after every 6 minutes of usage. Also, its new Magic Data Bundle combines guaranteed data with bonus allocations, while the revamped Glo Cafe app features Gloria, an AI-powered assistant. With these innovations, Glo says it is powering Nigerians to pursue their ambitions and strive for more. PepsiCo has opened the Global Agency Review as the food and beverage giant accelerates its shift towards AI-first marketing. The company has invited major advertising networks and management consultancies to compete for the mandate, with a focus on creativity, data, technology, and business performance. At the same time, the move builds on PepsiCo's partnership with Google Cloud to expand AI-powered capabilities across its operations. For the advertising industry, the development signals a growing demand for partners that can combine creative thinking with artificial intelligence, data, and measurable business results. Elevate Media has relaunched its flagship CMS Marina billboard as King of Marina 2.0, upgrading the iconic outdoor advertising site with a new LED display. The upgrade now supports full-motion visuals, day-part scheduling, and same-day content updates. Alongside this, advertisers can tailor different messages for morning, afternoon, and evening audiences on a single booking. Located along one of Lagos Island's busiest commercial corridors, the upgraded site is now open for bookings, further strengthening Elevate Media's digital out-of-home advertising offering across Lagos. Nigeria has introduced a new national digital cloud policy, making cloud infrastructure the default for new digital systems across federal government agencies. Under the policy, MDAs seeking exemptions must obtain approval from NITDA, while cloud providers will also face stronger registration and compliance requirements. Crucially, the framework classifies government data by sensitivity, with national security and critical infrastructure data required to remain on servers physically located in Nigeria. In addition, government targets up to $750 million in private investment within 24 months as Nigeria moves to strengthen domestic cloud and data center infrastructure.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand idea.
That was brand news. Next is branding focus after this break.
Every day, millions of Nigerians walk past your next customer. The question is, can they see you? Nimbus Media puts your brand exactly where Nigeria is already looking. High-impact digital screens inside shopping malls, supermarkets, gyms, and the busiest locations across Nigeria. From billboards to brand activations, we make sure you show up and show up boldly. We've helped brands launch, grow, and become the name people remember in the moments that matter the most. Your audience is already out there. It's time they found you. Nimbus Media. Visibility. Done right. Book your campaign today at nimbus.com.ng.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand idea.
Now brand in focus. As AI reshapes marketing, consumers are taking the lead. While 70% welcome AI for convenience and personalized offers, many express unease when automation feels too intrusive. Younger audiences, in particular, demand authenticity and cultural relevance, showing skepticism towards AI only campaigns. Experts say the future lies in a hybrid approach where AI handles speed and skill, while humans ensure creativity, emotion, and local context. This means that in markets like Nigeria, brands that balance technology with human insight stand to gain trust and engagement as consumers want innovation that feels personal without invading privacy.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
That was Branding Focus. Next is Industry Conversation, where we discuss with industry thought leaders who have distinguished themselves and have made tremendous impact in their chosen field. Join us after this break.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
When I say golden, you say penny. When I say golden, you say penny. Golden penny, golden penny. Wake up to breakfast with my golden penny. I dey enjoy my first choice, nourishing goodness every morning. Oh, cabina play, yummy dishes every day. Mama's recipe they upgrade. Oh, when she's using golden penny. Quality we deliver. Crunchy snacks, golden penny. Serving happiness, nourishing. Golden penny, yummy golden penny, delicious golden penny. Serving. Yummy golden penny, delicious golden penny.
Golden Penny, home of good foods. Serving happiness, nourishing families. Yum!
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
On Industry Conversation today, we'll continue our conversation from where we stopped last week. And my guest is still here, the Vice President and Agency Lead, Being Creative IMC, Anthony Onyemauwa. Thank you for staying with us.
It's my pleasure.
Let's talk about young professionals in the industry today. So some are very skeptical about joining professional bodies. What's your perspective about this? Do you think it's important that professionals join young professionals join these bodies?
I think it's important for a lot of reasons. Number one, joining professional bodies, of course, it shows that you're a professional, that you belong to the industry, that you're identifying with the industry, number one. Number two, it also ensures that, I noticed that a lot of professionals don't have, colleagues outside the places where they work, their office or their past organizations. But by being a member of professional bodies, you get to also have other people outside your workspace that are professionals like you, that you can build professional relationships with. Okay. Also, it also opens up opportunities for you. So if you're a brilliant professional and you belong to a professional body, of course, have meetings and all of that, because you are always there and they see you and they can testify to your brilliance and your hard work. When opportunities come, you have an opportunity to be recommended. Also, because associations have professionals across all age bands, that means that there are associates, there are members, there are fellows. There's a space, an opportunity for mentorship for young professionals. Okay, because the way it works, so you work in an organization, you report to your boss. The boss will not be maximum maybe 5-7 years your senior, but in an organization and in a professional body, you meet people who are 5 years your senior, 15 years your senior, some even 25-30 years your senior. What does that do? It opens the door for mentorship for you. So while those guys may not be able to recommend you for any jobs, or they do not recommend you, they're able to mentor you. They can talk you through experiences they've had, things they've done, that can open your eyes to a lot of things, experiences that you may not necessarily get the opportunity to access in your organization. most of the profound conversations I had were in my early days when I actually began my career as an editor. So I was an editor, I was a journalist, and I used to interview MDs. I'm talking about '07, '08, interview MDs. So most of the guys who did some of the biggest advertising campaigns in Nigeria, I interviewed them, Ted Mukoro and co. And the fact that I had the opportunity to always sit with them and listen to them actually shaped the way I thought as a professional. It actually helped me, understand that, okay, I was on the right track and things I needed to do if I wanted to succeed like them. So joining professional bodies is to the advantage of the professional. Why? Because of all this I've mentioned, and most importantly because of the opportunity for mentorship.
Let's come to Being Creative, where you sit as the vice president and agency lead. Being Creative operates at the intersection of strategy, culture, entertainment, and innovation. Now, what makes the agency different from others?
Okay, so a lot of things. Primarily, when we talk about the fact that we sit at the intersection of culture, strategy, pop culture, it's number one. Many people may not know, but Being Creative IMC is a part of the Chocolate City Group. So the Chocolate City Group is the group where you have Chocolate City Music, which I expect that you should know, and Being Creative, and a couple of other businesses. So if you trace the history of Chocolate City, Chocolate City has been one of the leading brands or leading platforms when it comes to music, pop culture, the youth, the society. So that has helped us over the years. Number one, know how the target audience thinks. If you look at the Nigerian population, over 50-60% are below the age of 30. These are the guys that listen to music. Okay, these are the guys that listen to music, and we have a lot of artists from Chocolate City Music who, because of them, we have to always engage these guys. We're always having music releases every now and then. So over the years, the business has come to understand how the youth think. The business have come to understand, where pop culture is, what pop culture means at the moment. You understand? So the advantage that Being Creative has is that while other agencies are mostly focused on strategy, marketing, advertising, and doing research, we do not depend on research to understand the audience. We engage with the audience on a daily basis because, number one, we have a music label who we also work with actively. So we know these guys, we know how they think, we know what appeals to them, which is why, from an influencer marketing perspective, we are very, very strong. I always tell people that anywhere you see any, congregation of influencers in Nigeria doing a campaign, out of every 5, at least 3 came through us. Why? Because we know how these guys think, how the consumer thinks, what appeals to them, and the gatekeepers they listen to, the gatekeepers that has a finger on their pulse, and all of that. So that's really differentiates us because we understand that. That's why we always say, we are at the intersection of strategy, culture, because if you look at the Nigerian creative space, our biggest export out of Nigeria today is music. That music defines the culture to a very, very large extent. So if you have an understanding of the music, have an understanding of the culture, have an understanding of the guys who consume the music, the guys who produce the music, the guys who are between the consumers and the producers of the music, that means you can literally sell them anything because you know how they think, you know what they want, you know what appeals to them. You understand? So that, I think, primarily is what gives us the edge, And also, beyond the Chocolate, City thing, the bulk of our team members are young people who are very creative, young people who are, digitally, who are digitally, they are digitally on point. They are guys who they are digital first. Okay, so when you have an idea, have a concept, they think digital first before traditional, before electronic, before any other thing. So that's and because that's also the space where the ideal consumer in Nigeria sits, it means that because these guys are young and they think digital first, they are preferring solutions to people like them So they know what people like them want, what people like them like. So it just positions us to be in a space where we can't miss it with the consumer. And as long as you can't miss it with the consumer, you are good. So I think that's what primarily differentiates us from other agencies in the business.
What philosophies shape Being Creative's work? What philosophies?
Two primary, then there are a lot of other secondary ones. Number one, we are data driven. So we are always using data. So for us, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Yeah, that's not an original expression. That's not, but it's also a policy internally. If you can't measure whether it's working or how it's working, then you can't manage it. And if you can't manage it, then don't bother selling it. We have to do to measure it. So number one, data. We're a data-driven business. And number two, we are very, very particular about culture. We believe that culture is everything. Culture is everything. So what is culture? I already explained to you earlier about how music is our biggest export. So because music is our biggest export, and music is one of the major things that our sister business provides to the industry, and which we're also a part of. It has also become a part of our own DNA, the culture. When we are producing anything, or we are selling anything, or we are coming together with a campaign, the first question is, after we have understood how we can measure the data, the next question is, where does it sit in the space of culture? How does it align with the culture, with the pop culture? How does it align with how people are thinking and what they are saying, what they are experiencing now, what they are doing, what they are desiring now? So we are particular about data, we are particular about culture or pop culture, and then thirdly, we are particular about growth. If it's not growing, if it's not bringing value, there's no point.
Now let's get up close and personal. So who is Anthony Onyemauwa?
Well, Anthony Onyemauwa is a change agent. I like to see myself as a change agent. I like to see myself as when I describe myself, I call myself a value expression expert, in the sense that I like to always bring value to whatever I do. If there's an opportunity to bring value to it, I want to bring value to it. I try to bring value to it. I find ways to bring value to it. So I would say I'm a value expression expert. I'm a value adder who loves to, bring value to any space I find myself, any space, any opportunity, any work, any environment I find myself. That is who I am, and that impacts, or that influences the things I do, the space I find myself, the people I work with. If I cannot add value to whatever I am or whatever I'm doing, then I don't see the point in there. So if I'm talking to you, or I'm working with you, or I'm working for you, or I'm working, with you, it's because I see there's an opportunity to add value. So basically, I'm just somebody who sees himself as here to add value.
You've spent 2 decades in the industry. What inspired your journey into this industry?
Okay, my first discipline was mass communication, and after school, the first set of work I did was in research. I did a lot of research, and I was always doing research. I would do the research, do the reports, submit it. But over time, I began to ask myself, what do they do with this research? I just did the research. How do they use the research? And then I began to ask myself, how can research be applied? And then in school, we were taught about communication students. We know about it, the 5 W's and H: who, what, where, why, when, and how. Well, I discovered that the most important of these 6 letters was the why. The why is the reason. Why do you do that? So that why was what largely attracted me to advertising. Why do people buy a certain product? Why do people subscribe to a certain service? Why do people want this? Why do people want that? Why do people want to dye their hair? Why do people want to drive a big car? Why do people want to have more than, that's why. So I think the desire to understand the thinking, the motivation behind consumer behavior was what largely attracted me to the advertising and eventually the marketing space. I started in the advertising space as far as a strategist, then as an account manager, and then over time moved on to the client side. But everything that drove me was always the why. So as a strategist, I was always asking, Why do consumers prefer to drink Star instead of Gouda? Why do consumers prefer to drink Amstel Malta instead of Malta Guinness? Why? That's why. So I think if you summarize everything into one sentence, what was the attraction? It was the desire to understand the motivation behind human behavior, behind consumer behavior. So as a strategist, I'll look at you and I'll say, why would you prefer to wear a suit? Or prefer to have this haircut? What impact does that have on businesses that make suits, that targets people in your age range, demography, and all of that? That's why is what constantly drives me to be in the space, and which is why I'm still in the space, which is why I've not left to go and become a lecturer or something, because of that question of why.
Your career is taking you through MTN, Konga, Wakanow, and now being Creative IMC. Which experience has shaped your leadership philosophy the most?
Konga, easily. I would say Konga, because at Konga, I had oversight over a much bigger team. Konga was a startup when I joined, had massive funding. I had a big team that I was working with, and the volume of work was crazy. It was, I don't think even Posting had that volume of work at the same time. I was manager responsible for value proposition, customer acquisition, segments, and master brand. So I had 4 portfolios, I had a lot of people. And for the first time in my career, when I was at Konga, for the first time, I had to work with a large number of people who were reporting to me. And many of them were people who were not just young, but extremely competent. In our workspace, in the industry, it's one thing to have young people. It's another thing to have young people who are very competent. Most of the time when you see young people, you see them as people who need to be trained. But Konga had lots of young people who didn't need to be trained. Many of them came from, foreign universities, foreign work experience, and they just wanted. You have people who came to work because they wanted to work there, not because of the salary. So it was okay, fine, they wanted the salary, but more important, they wanted to work there. So working there made the most impact on my leadership philosophy because I understood that, number one, as experienced as I believed I was, as exposed as I believed as I was, I realized that, look, learning is an endless journey. You learn every day. Before Konga, I only learned from the people who were my bosses. At Konga, I was able to learn from people who were my bosses. I was able to learn from people who were my peers. I was able to learn from people who were. So the learning was 360 degrees. So Konga helped me understand that, number one, if you must grow as a leader, you need to have an open mind. You need to be willing to learn. You need to know that you need to always wake up every day and come with an empty cup, hoping to be filled by the knowledge and experiences of everybody around you. So I think Konga as an organization helped impact my leadership, my approach to work the most, which is why I've been creative. If you have the opportunity to ask my colleagues, and I always encourage everybody to speak up, everybody to contribute, because everybody knows something. Everybody has something they bring to the table. If you sit down as the leader and decide to say, oh, because I know it, I've worked this long, my way or the highway, you lose the opportunity to learn from other people who work with you, whether they are your peers or your subordinates. So to answer your question, I would say Konga had the most impact on my leadership philosophy.
Of all the campaigns you've worked on over the years, which is the most memorable?
There are many memorable campaigns I've worked on. There are many memorable campaigns I've worked on, but if I must pick the most memorable would be something I did on the agency side. So before I joined Konga, I worked at an ad agency called Noazak. So one of our clients there was MultiChoice. MultiChoice owns DSTV and GoTV. So we had a particular brief where we needed to sell off a particular amount of GoTV, what are they called?
The decoders.
Decoders, exactly. Thank you very much. sell off and the reason why we had to sell off that amount of decoders before the end of the year was because shortly after those decoders had been brought into the country, the government made made a directive or a ruling, a policy that said that by the particular end of the year, that those decoders should be phased out of the country. Those decoders will not be used anymore. They'll become illegal and all of that. So anybody who brought in those decoders will not be able to sell them. Well, those decoders have already been brought in a mass. So we had a very short time. I think we had like 4 months or something to make that happen. And the volume of decoders that we had at that point in time, the volume was such that normally you need like about 8 to 10 months to sell them off. And here we were with just about less than 4 months to sell them off. And then we brainstormed internally and we came up with the idea of signing John Okafor of blessed memory. John Okafor is also known as Mr. Ibu. So we signed on Mr. Ibu and we went on a nationwide activation with John Okafor to sell the decoders. We had about less than 4 months to sell off this number of decoders. However, by the 3rd month, we had finished selling everything. For me, not just because of the pressure, but because it looked almost impossible to pull off, but we pulled it off. So for me, it remains my most memorable campaign.
Thank you for having this conversation with me. It's been very impactful and interesting.
Thank you too.
I've been speaking with the Vice President and Agency Lead, Being Creative IMC, Anthony Onyemauwa. The conversation continues on our website at www.marketingedge.com.ng and all our social media platforms at Marketing Edge. My name is Babumi Agbibi.